On today's episode, we'll talk about being one of the first steadicam operators in the world, shooting concerts in front of a huge stadium of fans, NCIS New Orleans, Monsters Ball, and of course, discovering lost U-boats in the Gulf of Mexico. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out the breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, the musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I'm Dave Comides, your host, and coming to you from Atlanta today, but over the internet to New Orleans through this thing that the kids use, the internet, with Steadicam operator, camera operator Jerry Jacob. Some of the credits that he has to his name, but not all by any means. Monsters Ball, Red Dawn, the new one, not the original. I think we all would have been too young for that. Beautiful Creatures, Free State of Jones, NCIS New Orleans, 113 episodes, which is just mind-boggling. Renfield, and of course I'm going to have to ask him about an episode, apparently, according to IMDb, that he did of Young and the Restless. Jerry, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
How's things down in New Orleans?
Slow,
yeah, slow everywhere.
Yeah.
It is the way that it is.
It is what it's the new world we live in.
Yep. So I think we were talking the other day about the fact that you and I met at a Steadicam workshop. Is that right?
Yeah, at Calamigos Ranch.
Calamigos Ranch,
Malibu.
Those were the days. And as
fun.
I recall, were you one of the casualties in one of the massive Ultimate Frisbee?
Yes. I don't remember what year it was. It all blurs together. But one of the Friday evening Ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah.
Students against instructors. I forgot that I was not as young as most of the students were. And
I'm fairly certain I was in that group at some point as well. We all got hurt at one point. But yeah, you're in there with like 20-some-year-old kids. I was younger then, but still.
Yeah.
And then, but Calamigos was a good time. I remember that very well. And,
they were a lot of fun. I think I did about 5 of the ones at Calamigos, 4 or 5.
Oh, no way.
And I did 2 when it was at the UCLA Conference Center at Lake Arrowhead.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know about that.
They did a couple of them up there.
Gotcha.
It was really, really nice, but it was not the same vibe as Calamigos.
Calamigos was great because it was like out in the middle of nowhere, and they had those weddings and stuff like that. And the main thing that I remember every time was they had that sign out front with all those plastic letters, and invariably at some point we would drink too much and rearrange them to say all sorts of terrible things.
Yep.
It's probably why they stopped being at Calamigos Ranch.
But we never did it. It wasn't us.
We were innocent. It just happened, but it was funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I should cut that part out. So tell me, how'd you get into Steadicam, or how'd you get into camera operating?
Well, my dad was the chief engineer of the CBS affiliate TV station in New Orleans years and years ago. And so he told every one of his kids, my 3 siblings and I, don't go into this business. You should do something else like computers. And we all were
Smart man.
What?
Yeah.
Computers? Wow, that's for nerds. And
can you go back?
I wish I could. I have a little bit of a story that in some ways I did a hybrid version of that later on. But so I kind of went into business, and I actually did some work when I was in college. I went to Loyola University here in New Orleans and studied communications, film, and television production. And I actually had the first recognized internship that the department was offering that was not journalism related. It was actually production. I convinced them that, the film production is not necessarily all theoretical. There's actually a trade that goes with it. Yeah. And so I had to fight the administration, but I did, and I got an internship, and I worked for a local rental house production company that was a cinema products dealer. And
wow.
I happened to start my internship working there. I mean, they actually paid me part-time, but I did most of it for free, but I did get paid. But I got there right when they had bought one of the first runs of Model 1 Steadicam.
Oh my gosh.
It was serial number 12.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Cinema Products was the company that made the Steadicam. So,
right.
So wait, serial number 12. So that's literally the first batch that ever went out.
Yeah, the first batch. So I was at the right place at the right time. I was a young kid in pretty good shape, and all the guys who owned the company and ran it were much older, and they put it on, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is incredible, horrible." So I put it on, and I just sort of took to it. So that was January of 1977. I know I'm dating myself, but that's the way it is. So I put it on essentially every working day for five.
Let me ask you a question though.
Yeah.
Did it come with a manual? Did it come with something,
No.
or was it just a box of stuff?
It was a box of stuff. There were some minor instructions about what parts went where, but that was it.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
That was it. We did
That's amazing.
A lot of figuring out ourselves.
And it's worth pointing out, this is pre-internet, so it's not like you can go on the internet and go, hey, does anybody know how to use this? And there were only probably, 20 people in the world who had any inkling anyway.
Yeah, I think at that point we kind of counted, there were like 16 or 17 quote-unquote Steadicam operators.
That is incredible.
At the time. Yeah, I mean, obviously Garrett, but Rusty,
Rusty Geller,
Bob
Crone, probably.
Bob Crone, yeah. I'm trying to think of a couple of the other ones there was a guy who actually worked for Cinema Products. Ed Clare was his name.
Oh, okay.
And
Kyle Rudolph, maybe, was he back then?
Kyle may have been. I
might have been slightly after that, but anyway.
I don't recall hearing Kyle's name until a little later. Ted Churchill.
Okay. Ted Churchill, of course. Yeah.
So
Jerry Hallway. Yeah. That's amazing.
No, Jerry was later. Jerry was like.
Oh, Jerry was later. Okay. Was McConkey in the mix yet, or did he come slightly after?
He was a little after that as well.
He was a little after that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Geez. So you were really at the forefront. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I literally had no idea what I was doing. I just would put it on and figure things out. And it was April of 1977. Garrett was making the rounds of places and people that had bought Steadicams. There weren't a ton, but he was going around the country. And so he came to New Orleans, and I showed him what I had figured out. He showed me a few things, and that was the only official training I've ever had on Steadicam, was those 15, 20 minutes with Garrett. But that's when I met him way back then. So
now, did he come in, and was there a lot that you were doing wrong, or was it still they didn't really know how to do it yet, so they were just sort of going, well, how do you do this, and I do this, and
no, it was never mentioned about doing things wrong. It was all about what can we do to make this more a more useful tool.
Wow.
So Garrett and he's obviously all the years he's always had a great attitude about teaching and instructing and having people do better, and his emphasis was always on composition. Not necessarily always the technical side of it, even though he's a really technical guy. He's a genius. So
well, and his thing was always, we need to get past the technical and get back to storytelling, which I always loved. And you probably know this, but early on, and I don't know who this was, there were a handful of people who said, don't share the secrets. Like, there's a lot of money to be made here. And he immediately said, no. We're a big tent. Everybody's in it. We're gonna all do this together and learn from each other and get better. And and I think that's made the difference, and that made the whole community, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was definitely a community feel. I mean, in many ways, a lot of the guys were, competition, but it wasn't looked at that way for the most part. It was just a really congenial community of everyone.
That's really cool. So were you just messing around with it, or were you actually doing work with it?
Well, for the first 3 months, I was just messing around, and then I actually have a little card. I wish I could. I should find it somewhere. And I actually showed this to Garrett a number of years later. It was my certification card that said, as of May 1977, I was a certified Steadicam operator.
Oh, you got to find that. Please do.
Yeah.
And send me a copy. That's great. I love that.
I actually had it laminated because it was just a little piece of thick, paper.
Yeah.
And printed and signed by the guy who owned the dealership here, the CP dealership. And
But wait, so you got that when you got the steady? I mean,
no,
or did you go in and prove that you could do it or
I
something?
got it because I actually did a job in May of '77. It was something for the Canadian Broadcasting Company was doing like a variety show in New Orleans in the French Quarter. And I did a couple of Steadicam shots. It was so brand new. They had no clue. They were like,
wow.
Oh, you mean we can walk down the street with our host and hostess? And I stepped off of a curb and out into the street and
Oh
had
my
them
gosh.
yeah, it was, and I was cabled. This is,
Yeah,
1977.
of course, but still, little steps, right?
Yeah, and so once I did that and actually got paid $150,
Yeah. Wow.
that's when I was considered certified because I actually did real work in the professional world.
That is really cool. And when you would show up on set with this, did people know what it was, or
No.
did they go, "What is that?" and what are you doing?
No, a lot of people had no clue. It was so
No
new
clue.
and so different.
So cool. So they must have just been blown away by this.
Yeah. The fact that you could move and it could be so smooth and you could
What
go
a
in all
great
kinds of
place to
places.
be.
Yeah, it was really
That's
cool.
cool.
Well, here's another
Yeah.
tidbit that early on, I think it was the following football season, the fall of '77, CBS was doing broadcast, obviously, of a New Orleans Saints game here in the Superdome. And they said, oh, we should try using Steadicam on the sidelines. And so
Oh boy.
they hired me.
Yeah.
I think I was the first Steadicam operator to do Steadicam at an NFL game.
Wow. And I mean, did they understand the
No.
toll that this took on you?
No, nobody. Well, look, as we all do, but particularly back then, hey, how much does that thing weigh?
Exactly.
How much does that thing weigh? And I always used to say, oh, it weighs about 2,000 pounds. That NFL game, I don't remember who the Saints were playing, but it was obvious kind of early on with the Model 1 being cabled, so vulnerable. It was not the lightest of rigs, even though it's lighter than many current rigs.
Yeah.
That it was not really ideally suited back then. Being wireless was an absolute must. So I thought I was going to get killed, be honest.
I'm sure. Yeah.
It scared the hell out of me.
I'll bet. And did you have it on for the whole game?
I think I took it off at halftime.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that's just terrible. And those vests that were not, oh boy.
No.
Anyway.
Yeah, the Model 1 vest was not the most comfortable of.
That is really amazing. And it's worth pointing out to anybody who's listening that doesn't know, you were looking at a monitor that was smaller that was green and black and smaller than the size of a credit card.
Right.
That was what, 4 feet away from you, probably 3 feet away from something like that.
Yeah, 3 to 3.5 feet. Yeah.
Just unbelievable. But it was better than what we'd done before. So it was an improvement.
Still gave them some really cool shots, but they realized, no, this is probably not and it took obviously a number of years before.
Gotcha.
And now it's
so did the company still own that, or did you buy it from them, or
no? They kept it for a long time, and I just would always be their Steadicam operator for whatever came around.
Wow.
And it was great because I didn't have to spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
But I only worked there for 2.5 years, and then I got out and we formed my own little production company with a couple of friends of mine. And we actually used the Steadicam on a number of commercials that we did. In fact, when I was still in Loyola the next year, and I've told Garrett this, and he said, oh, you're probably the first to do this as well. I actually used Steadicam in my student film I had to use to graduate.
That's great.
So he said, oh, you're probably the first person to use Steadicam in a student film.
That's really neat. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's and again, they must have been completely amazed because to have it on, anything but let alone a student film, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're shooting with what? I mean, you're shooting with CP16s, film cameras?
Primarily CP16s. We did put a couple of ARRIs. We would have an ARRI. This is before the SR. They had the ARRI S, which looked a lot like an SR, but it was different. And then they had this, early versions of video cameras, the RCA TK76, which was blue. Really, old NTSC video cameras.
That goes back. So what happened after school? What was the next step?
Well, I actually I had my own little production company for a couple of years, and then I that was okay, but it was pretty clear to us that we weren't going to be able to make a living. Got
Uh-huh.
married, and so gave that up, and I actually went to work for a TV station in Baton Rouge, which is about an hour away from New Orleans. And
And you're with Steadicam at that point, or you're
no,
not?
I wasn't. I didn't. No,
Yeah.
it was still too new, so I didn't do Steadicam for about two and a half years in the early
Mhm.
'80s. And then when I left there and came back to New Orleans, we used it on a handful of things. I was working, believe it or not, at a PBS station here.
Mhm.
And we did some productions where I was the production manager and senior director and Steadicam operator.
Wow.
Yeah, because nobody else could do it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for a long time, I was the only Steadicam operator for about 400 or 500 miles. Houston, somebody in Houston had one. I can't remember who it was. And then Ralph Watson, I think, in
Oh yeah. Was Ralph Watson the guy who built the Steadicam that used DeWalt batteries?
I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think.
everybody used to talk about that.
I don't know if he was in Houston or if he was in Austin. I can't remember.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
wow. So did you run into other Steadicam operators then, or did you know other Steadicam operators? Was
Very
there
rarely.
awareness?
It was all by phone call. I would talk to a few people here and there, but it was pre-internet.
Yeah.
There was not much going on. I did meet early on. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Larry McConkey
Yeah.
came to do something here, and I met him. But I was still like a second and loading for
Yeah.
various commercials here and there, and operating. It was because New Orleans is such a small market. You did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
but when I
Sure.
was at that dealership that owned the Steadicam, most of the week, during the week, I would be taking out the trash, making coffee, getting camera packages ready for rental, and then going out on jobs. And I'd be the loader or the second, and
Yeah.
we need a Steadicam shot. So now all of a sudden I'm the Steadicam operator,
Oh, that's wow. So
and then
nothing's changed, right?
put the Steadicam up and then go back to loading.
Yeah. Yeah. Go take the trash out.
Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
it was
Wow.
completely different back then.
And it's also worth mentioning, like, if something went down on the rig, I mean, you couldn't just go to Cinema Products, right? Like, I mean, you'd call them
No,
maybe, but you had to figure out something locally. So did you get like machinists and stuff, and you're making things and
we
figuring it
did
out?
once or twice, but there was really not a lot that went wrong on that original rig for all the time that I used it,
Yeah.
which was about 6 years. I used that rig on and off for about 6 years.
Wow. Do you know whatever happened to it?
They sold it, I think, to some Middle Eastern company, like
Okay.
in the late '90s. I think is what
And
last
then
I
it just
heard.
disappeared somewhere.
Yeah, that's
That's
probably
because I had my first rig was model number 20 or serial number 23. So it was from the same batch as yours because they made 25 at first.
wow. Yeah.
And I still have the I
What
still have
year? What year was that you got it?
oh boy. Let me do some backwards math. 99. I want to say that I dropped out of college in 90, and I think I took an EFP workshop in 91 maybe, and
Yeah.
Calamigos in 92. And of course, that was back when you could buy a new rig, but nobody had money for that. So
Right.
it was like, can I buy a used rig? And I was looking at, remember Derek Whitehouse? He used to have
Yes.
that like I think he had like, it was like the back of one of the magazines or something. It was just this list of equipment. And
Yes.
I would always look on that. And then I found out that, this guy named Troy Smith, who ended up going on to direct like Flight of the Concords and a bunch of other stuff. He's a big
Wow.
director now, but he wanted to get out of his Steadicam, his Model 1, and he sold me it. And I remember thinking, like, I can't believe that I'm actually getting a Steadicam, but
That's cool.
and it wasn't quite stock, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, with those big thick batteries that you could swing.
Big thick batteries. It didn't have the thing where the battery stuck out of the back. It had
Oh,
this
really?
Bob DeRose thing where
Oh,
it hung off the back, and
Yeah.
and you could go side to side with it. So you
Right.
could. And then I remember the next big thing was I bought a plate that went on top of my plate that could go side to side, and I was like, this is big time now.
Yeah, really.
But that's what you did back then.
Exactly.
So Yeah. How'd you eventually get into larger and larger projects? Like, was there a process to that, or did it just fall
Yeah, I
into
mean, larger and
place?
larger projects started coming to town,
Yeah.
and the fact that I was still like the only Steadicam around here. I see
And
the
did you
real big.
own?
Well, I did. In the early '90s, I ended up buying. I bought an EFP,
Okay.
and I got it with a 3A arm.
Okay, so anybody not knowing, the EFP was like this smaller Steadicam that worked the same, but it was for video cameras,
Yeah,
and then the three A arm was the larger arm that could hold more weight. So
right.
yeah.
So I had the gimbal rebuilt on it.
Hmm.
I modified it to be able to power 24-volt cameras.
Oh, that's a big deal. Yeah.
I had several people. It was still Cinema Products at the time say, "Oh, that you're never going to be able to fly anything big on this rig." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, I hate to tell you, but I already have." Uh,
We
here's a
all
story.
push those things to the limits. I mean, people used to tell me my Model 1, they're like, you can't put a Panavision Gold on there. And I'm like, I just did. It wasn't fun. Didn't
I
look good, but yeah.
I flew a BL4 on my EFP.
Oh my gosh. This is a very heavy Aeroflex camera that
Oh
was
my
just a
God,
pig.
it was
Yeah.
horrible.
Oh,
I had to run with it. It was a running
oh my
thing.
gosh.
This
That was back when people thought that you could run with the Steadicam and it looked good, right?
Yeah, that was like 1994. I did this
Oh my gosh. I don't miss those days.
really
Wow.
bad movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme. No, was it Jean? No, it was Robert Davi and Brigitte Nielsen and oh
Oh,
my
this is
God.
great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so the two cameras they had were a BL3 and a 4, and so I would alternate which one I would use.
Hmm.
Oh, it was horrible.
Oh boy, that's
It
rough.
had no video tap, so I had bought, and they had no tap to go with it. It was, low budget movie, and so
Yeah.
I found out, I did some testing, and I bought a little security camera, a little black and white security camera that you would like
Oh my
mount up in a
gosh.
ceiling or something in a business. And I
Yeah.
found out that if you put their 12 millimeter lens on it, it would, and you like taped it to the eyepiece of a camera, it was perfect size. So for a number of jobs, I had my little 12 millimeter
Oh.
lens and security black and white camera was my video tap, gaffer taped to the eyepiece.
So this is amazing because again, I'm just going to explain this because I think younger people won't understand this.
Yeah,
You used to have film cameras, and the film cameras it was like a specialty if it came with a tap. Most of them didn't have a tap
yeah,
actually built
particularly
into
back
it.
then.
And so when we did Steadicam, we would have these ways of putting basically a video camera like you're talking about on the eyepiece that would kind of be your eye looking in the eyepiece and would just see in there. And first of all, it was dark as your heart. I mean, it
Yes,
was just you couldn't see anything, and the shutter was flickering. It was terrible.
yes,
But so there was a thing. Who made? Oh, Bob DeRose made it, I think. Right?
yep,
It was there was a
yep,
little like connector, and we used
yep,
to get these little Wattec cameras. I don't know
yep.
where we get security cameras, but basically, you kind of found out that you could no pun intended jerry rig one by
Yeah.
just gaff taping it on there. And
Oh yeah.
and I'll,
It
I'll
looked
tell you
terrible.
my version of that was I had an old Bob DeRose. I don't know. It wasn't the tap. It was the eyepiece adapter. I think
The
they called it or
adapter.
something. It was that little thing with all the barrels and it had
Yep.
focus and iris and stuff. And but the the what do you call it? The threads had come bare, so it wouldn't
Oh
screw
God.
into the eyepiece. And so I would put it on there and screw it so it just hold and then tape the crap out of it so it would
Right.
hold it in place. And it would always stick straight up. So the weight was
Yes.
coming straight. So that was
Yeah.
my version of what you
Straight
did.
up. I did the exact same thing because
And
if you tilted the eyepiece back, that it had the tendency to
it'd
sag
fall
and
off.
come. Yeah, it would come off. And
It's like the same stupid stuff we all did. And people would look over and I'd just go, look, it works. Don't,
yeah,
unless you got a better idea.
right. I
Oh
know.
my gosh, those were the days. That's
Well, yeah,
great.
yeah. You had to be a master of improvisation, to make
You
things work.
totally did.
And
Yeah.
so we did. It was.
That's fan. And I do remember, like, God help you if you did a night shoot. I mean, you just couldn't see.
Oh God.
It-
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember a couple of times going back and saying, how was that? 'Cause
Did
I didn't
anybody
see
see it?
anything. I
Now,
could,
did you have a transmitter at that time?
no, I didn't even have a
Uh,
transmitter back then. No. So
okay, so
sometimes they would provide one, whatever, like that movie that I was just talking about. They had a little
yeah,
transmitter. Oh no,
yeah.
you
So
know what? I take it back. No, I did. That was my first. I don't remember what transmitter it was.
Did you have that? There was that little transmitter that you could buy. These were all totally illegal, and they probably
Yes.
did irreparable harm to our DNA. But it like transmitted only on like channel 27 or
Yes.
something weird like that. Yeah,
That's I think what it was. Yes.
yeah, and like you bought it out of Canada from like some guy in a
Right.
PO box. Or
You know what?
something.
That's right. I forgot. No, I had one of those.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
and
it
they
was.
get really hot. They get really hot.
Really hot, and and they only lasted for a year or so.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why, yeah, I remember there was that whole thing of like, is this illegal? And it's like, yeah, but nobody's going to bother you. And, you always wondered whether you were going to get in trouble. But,
Right.
and it came in and went out and came in and went out. And
Yeah.
oh my God, man, I don't miss those days. That was it was fun, but it was
Well, I
it
mean,
was stressful.
there are times I look back on some of that with fond memories, and then if I remember the real details, I go, oh, thank God I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I will tell you the thing that I do miss about that is as opposed to now, when in reality they're probably seeing a better image than we're seeing ourselves.
Yeah.
They had to trust you a lot more, right?
Yes,
Like, hey, when
absolutely.
you run around the corner and it went out, did that look good? Yeah, it was fine. Or
just
when you
even-
told them there was a problem, they actually listened to you
Well,
as
that was
opposed to going,
even-
well, I didn't see that.
Just for regular operating as well. They used
Oh,
to
yeah,
say,
absolutely.
hey, how was it for you?
Yeah.
'Cause
Because you were
even
the
at the
only
dawn of
person
that-
seeing the best image.
Right. And,
Yeah.
I'd say, no, I actually, I think we buzzed something. We need another one. Okay, let's do another one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No.
Yes, they trust you. Now it's like you're barely even in the loop.
Yeah, or the other part of it is, yeah, I saw that. We could take that out in post.
Yeah,
Right? It's
exactly.
It's
Oh,
lost
yeah.
some of its flair.
Yeah, it'll work. Well,
the
a good
SOC, the SOC's motto, I guess, still is, we see it first.
Yeah.
And I jokingly said we should change it to "we see it also." It doesn't have the same panache.
No, it sure doesn't. No, it does not.
But there's some truth to it because I look back at these people in front of these 40-inch monitors that are tuned in this and that and the other, and they're seeing a lot more information than I'm seeing. That's for sure. But,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway, bunch of old guys just talking about the days past. So you had an EFP and you made it work for features and whatever. So basically, and back then, I think it's worth mentioning to people who didn't know. 9 times out of 10, they didn't bring a Steadicam operator with them. They would hire you.
Yeah. Well, if the bigger shows would come to town or this area, they usually would bring somebody.
Okay. And would you go out and like try to meet them? So
I would try,
other Steadicam?
and I was successful a couple of times, and sometimes it was, they wouldn't let you on the set. Who are you?
Yeah, but
get out of here.
But when you did, was it sort of like this? Oh, there's another one of me here.
Yeah,
we can trade
I think that's how I met
information?
Bob Crone.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's
A
how
wonderful
I met.
guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how I met Larry. And Larry didn't really remember because I worked on a movie where Larry and I were on it together for a few days, and I said, "Yeah, Larry, we met even before one of the workshops. He came to one of the Philadelphia workshops, the SOC workshops, and I was telling him, well, Larry, we met years ago. He didn't remember, so that's okay.
There you go.
He excused.
The number of people Larry's probably met over the years.
I know.
Because it used to be that they didn't carry Steadicam for a full show. They just went, hey, we need someone Thursday and we need someone next Monday, and
it was a complete day player thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you went in, did you also operate like a B camera or a C camera, or was it just Steadicam usually?
No, well, it varied. I would say probably 50-50. They would say, hey, can you just, come over and just do this, the B camera for a little while? It's like, yeah. And you're still paying me my Steadicam rate, but I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're paying me my rate, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Did you know what you were doing, or like did you have to try to figure it out?
I did. I kind of knew. I mean, some of it was back then, particularly. It's less so now. I've noticed. I would keep my mouth shut and listen and watch other people just for the set etiquette and how to deal with that. I was known as being very quiet. For a long time. I'm not so quiet anymore, but I was very quiet for a long time. You just kept your mouth shut and you learned. You saw what other people did that was good and bad. And that's how you advance. So, I mean, I definitely knew what I was doing as far as Steadicam goes. I learned, I learned by trial and error.
That's great. There's a I can't remember where I heard this, but there's a Celtic saying that something goes along. I'm sure it sounds better in Celtic, or Gaelic maybe. I can't recall. But that's you're born with one mouth and two ears, act accordingly.
Oh yeah, that's
So
a great saying. I
listen
like
more than
that.
you speak. I
I
think there's
like that.
something to that, right? Especially when you're
Definitely.
starting out,
Especially when you're starting out.
because you just don't know. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And my thing was, because I was in the same boat as you, as I mean, I was later on, but still you were just pulled in to do Steadicam and then you went home.
Right.
And I don't know if you felt this, but a lot of the established operators sort of felt threatened, by
Absolutely.
you coming in with this new gear, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I would sort of stand, and also I was a young kid and whatever, so I would sort of stand in the back of the room as close as I could, trying to watch what they were doing, so
Yeah.
I could mimic it if I ever got the shot.
Oh yeah. That
Um,
definitely. There was a time. There was definitely a time where Steadicam operators had kind of a bad rep.
yeah, right.
And
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes it was our own fault, but in most cases, it was not deserved.
I think so, and I think there were people who were threatened by it, and I know there was one case where it was an established operator who, pre-internet, for however I knew his name, and I was so excited to meet him, and he basically not only just completely like blew me off, but when I was doing, because I was excited to be doing a shot and say, hey, what did you think? And, thinking I'd get feedback. He went out to the truck and he didn't even come on the set the entire time I was there.
Oh wow.
And I
Yeah.
remember feeling really deflated. Looking back now, I mean, I don't agree with it or whatever, but I think I understand what was, it's like they saw this as like these young kids coming up with this gear that they don't know how to use, and it's a
Right.
threat to their livelihood, right?
Yeah.
It
Definitely.
was a different time. There's no question.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So how long did you have the EFP? Did you eventually like go to a full size rig? Because
Yeah, I did. I sold it, and I bought. This was in the mid '90s. I bought a Master Series,
okay, so that was the new
which
cinema products, like their new flagship
yeah.
rig. Yeah,
So which it was okay. The bottom of the Master was horribly designed.
it had
Uh,
some issues. Yeah.
yeah, it was. It was just terrible. Garrett even
It
said that they did that design without his input, and he would have never let him
it
do it
doesn't
that way.
surprise me. Well, the thing is, it sort of seemed like it was designed to look really good and
Yes,
then to work.
yes, exactly. Now I did like
And
I
it
did
was,
like the arm. The arm was
hmm
nice. The
yep.
Master arm was nice. And I made it work pretty well for a while. And I had that rig for years. Take that back. So in between when I sold my EFP, wait, I'm trying to remember. It all jumbles together.
It all does, right?
For a while before, oh, that's what it was. Before I bought my EFP, I was renting. I was just renting Steadicams from anywhere I could get it,
Yeah.
Victor Duncan or whoever, and
Victor
it was
Duncan.
almost,
Wow.
yeah. Remember Victor Duncan?
Now, I never got into that, but like when you rented a Steadicam, because there was always that thing of like, well, most Steadicam operators have their own equipment because they need to practice and this and that
Yeah.
and the other. So I would assume that the people who rented Steadicams, you being the exception, maybe didn't know much about what they were doing. So when you rented a Steadicam, was it just beat to hell?
A few times.
Yeah,
Most of the time, it depends. Victor Duncan's there. They took care of theirs pretty well.
they did. Oh, okay,
I
gotcha.
rented from them quite a few times because I was doing commercials and I started doing concerts because that's what I was getting calls for, which is a completely different animal. And that's one of the things at the workshops when I was an instructor, I would tell people it's still Steadicam, but it's a completely different animal than being on
Yeah.
a narrative, set.
Are you pulling your own focus for that?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. It was tough. So that's in concerts. A lot of times it was generally you were kind of wide, and
Okay.
and remember it's '90s. It's NTSD standard def, so focus
Yep.
was a little bit less of an issue.
Sure.
But I mean, yeah, we definitely pulled our own focus. I had the little what was it called, the J7 thing for
Oh, that
they
Zoom
had come up
controller?
the Zoom that you could also rig up as to focus as well.
Oh, I see. Okay. I
And
gotcha.
I had that for a while, and then it disappeared one time on some shoot. Anyway, so that was when I had my rig. But yeah, I rented a 3A quite a number of times
Uh-huh.
for concerts. Then they
Sure.
opened the second House of Blues in New Orleans. That's what I was using, a 3A. I was doing a bunch
Oh,
of House of
wow.
Blues
Oh, that's
stuff.
neat. So you must have gotten to see a lot of good bands.
Oh yeah, because I did concerts for about 12 years.
Oh wow! So you saw everybody.
I was all over. I shot in London. I shot all over the U.S. You name it. I was on stage with a whole bunch of like big acts of the day. Yeah.
What are some of your favorites? I have to know.
Well, I was always a big fan of the Allman Brothers. I got to shoot with them a few times,
Uh-huh.
but I've been on stage. I've been on stage with Dylan,
Uh-huh.
who was horrible. I was like, does anybody hear that his guitar is out of tune?
Really? Oh
And
boy.
looking around, going, is it only me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. His manager came to the crew ahead of time and said, here are the rules: no close-ups, no low angles, no profiles.
Is this later on in his career, I'm assuming?
Yeah, this was in '96. During the Olympics in
Okay.
'96 in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
I worked. The House of Blues opened. It was. I think it's called the Tabernacle now. It was that
Okay.
place down by Centennial Square or whatever it's called, by the park. And we did concerts every night for all 3 weeks of the Olympics. So Dylan was 2 nights of that. It was like,
Gotcha.
it
Wow.
was pretty wild.
Do you get to interact with you ever interact with them, or is it just
Occasionally.
work?
I remember at Jazz Fest here in New Orleans one year, I was on stage with Santana, who
Ooh.
was great. And there was like some percussion solo, and I'm there moving around. All of a sudden, I feel somebody tickling me. It's like, what the hell? I turn around. It's Carlos Santana tickling me on my side, laughing. It's like, dude.
Wait, and you're on stage?
Yeah, I was actually shooting. We're shooting. I'm on this percussionist and the drummer and the conga player, and
I love
I'm back
that.
there moving around. All of a sudden, he's tickling me, and he's laughing.
And it's not even like he knows you.
Right? No, he just was having fun. It's like, okay, this is pretty
Yeah.
fun. So some of them were
That's
cool like
great.
that. Some of them were not. I did the Blues Brothers a few times with Dan Aykroyd.
No way! Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we shot them 4 times, I think. And then
Wow.
I worked not a Steadicam, but I worked on that movie, the James Brown biopic, Get On Up.
Okay.
He was in that. So we had craft services. I said, hey, Dan, I've worked with you a few times, House of Blues and everything. He goes, oh, my God. I said, actually, I worked with him. I was only a loader. The only time Saturday Night Live ever did a remote broadcast was the second season in New Orleans. They came here for Mardi Gras.
Oh, wow.
And I actually worked on, who was it? Albert Brooks used to do the little films.
That seems about right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was the loader for their Eclair NPRs. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, the Eclair NPR. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So I got to meet a bunch of those guys. They were wild back then. So
I'll bet. That's a blast. So Blues Brothers, those guys on stage they're talented, right?
oh yeah, it's a real band. It's a
real band, right?
And then Dan Aykroyd. Now it wasn't John Belushi. It was Jim Belushi by the time I was doing stuff with him.
I gotcha. Okay.
So yeah, I shot with them quite a few times, three or four.
That's great. What a blast.
Yeah.
How cool. And I gotta ask, like, I mean, so you've been up on stage in front of 50,000 people and things like that?
Oh yeah.
What
you gotta put it out of your mind.
I was gonna ask, so because you can't let it, you can't think about it probably, right?
No, I mean, you have to completely put that out of your head. You have to focus on just what's in front of you and what's around you.
Is there a technique for that that you can share?
Well, in many cases, the audience was dark, depended upon the size of the venue. So you didn't really hear it. But I mean, if it was a daytime, outdoor concert, that was obviously different. But I tended to not let it get to me after a while. Early on, I did one of the early Farm Aid concerts. It was the Superdome.
Oh, no way. Which are massive, right?
94, yeah. So, and the other thing is, that's 12 and a half hours long.
Oh, my gosh.
We would do a 90-minute set. There would be 10 minutes in between. I'd go drink some water, and change my shirt. 90 minutes. Then we'd take a 10-minute break, drink water, change my shirt. 90 minutes, and it ended up being 12 and a half hours.
And that's also like July, August or something like that.
Yeah, it was inside the Superdome, but so it was climate controlled, but still, I mean, I used to sweat like if I could look at a Steadicam, I'd sweat. So
that's amazing.
I mean, it could be. I did something, a corporate thing at the Omaha Steaks facility in Omaha, Nebraska, and so they flash freeze the meat.
Oh, steaks. I see. Yes.
Omaha
Okay.
steaks, yeah. And
Yeah.
so I remember one of the freezers, it was like 50 below inside this freezer. And I was doing Steadicam shots in their facility. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go in there. And they said, well, it's really cold in there.
Yeah.
So watch out. So I stepped in with my jacket on over the vest. And it was like I was instantly sweating.
Yeah.
Took the jacket off. So I'm in a 50 below freezer doing Steadicam I had a long sleeve t-shirt on. And that was it. And I was sweating. And it froze. It froze my shirt. It froze on my my face. I came out,
wow.
and then it melted as soon as I came out of the freezer.
Sure.
Talk about nasty.
Yeah, these are things you don't think about, right?
No, it's all things. Yeah, when you get into it, you must always bring extra shirts.
Yeah. Wild. Oh, that's amazing. So I specifically want to ask you about, you years ago told me about this discovery with, like, what was it, Exxon or Mobil or something like that?
Okay, yeah. So I used to, so I didn't only just do Steadicam, because being in a small market like New Orleans, you had to do whatever you could to make a living. So Steadicam was my specialty, but I also DP'd things. I operated. I was a director at the PBS station here and a production manager. And so a live director. So you do a lot of things. So I went in the late 90s. I had my own little side production company as well, and I was doing a lot of cable TV stuff, History Channel, Food Network, all kinds of things. But my corporate clients, my biggest ones were Shell and Chevron. I used to shoot a lot of things for Shell and Chevron in New Orleans and then out in the Gulf on the rigs and things. So my client called me one day from Shell. She said, "Hey, are you available for the next 4 days?" It's like, yeah, sure. What's going on? Well, we're going to need to go offshore and shoot on a rig. I said, okay, good. What are we doing? I can't tell you. What do you mean you can't tell me?
And I'm assuming that's not normal.
No, not normal at all. Okay. They usually would say, no, we're going to go to the rig and we're going to interview people. We're going to whatever. So it's like, there's not much else to do out there. But anyway, she said, I can't tell you, but trust me, you're going to love it.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, so I get my sound guy and we go and we have to drive way down to the coast, Louisiana, a 2.5 hour drive from New Orleans to get to the coast, where we got on this big ship. It was like a 250-foot boat to go out into the Gulf, and we load all the gear on. And they said, oh, well, you need to bring another videotape recorder to record a camera from a little remote vehicle that's going to go underwater. So I brought a Betacam deck that I rented, and we had that in a monitor. We loaded everything on, and it wasn't until we get out of the harbor, out into the open Gulf, that they said, okay, well, this is we're trying to keep it secret. Shell was doing an underwater sonar survey to potentially lay a new pipeline to bring crude oil from some of the rigs that are way out there in deep water into the shore, where there's this little processing facility where they take it and then distribute it. And so they do side scan sonar searches of the seafloor to make sure there's no obstructions, everything. Well, there's lots of wrecks in the Gulf, as there are.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they got to make sure it's clear down there.
Yeah,
so
they know most of these wrecks, but there's a handful of them. They're not 100% sure what it is. Well, in World War II, there were 3 German U-boats that they know stunk in the Gulf of Mexico. Well, one of them was actually in the Florida Straits down by the Keys.
Wow. 2
others were somewhere in the Gulf, and they weren't 100% sure. They did find one of them over closer to the coast of Texas. And the third one, they knew was sunk off the coast of Louisiana, but they weren't sure where. For years and years and years, they thought it was off the coast of this little area called Morgan City, which is the sort of in the central part of the Louisiana coast, as opposed to the eastern part where the Mississippi River goes into the Gulf. But people used to go diving looking for it, and it was never found. So Shell was doing the side scan sonar, and they saw this wreck, and it was like, oh, wow, what is that? It doesn't look like anything that's on our charts. We don't know what it is. And it was in 2 pieces. And they said, oh, you know what? The size of that could be a submarine. So they did this expedition that Shell and BP together paid for this expedition to go see what it was.
Yeah.
So they had guys from the MMS, the Mineral and Mines Survey Department of, I guess it's part of the Department of Energy. We all go out there. So we're out there for 4 days. So they get to the spot where this little remote vehicle goes overboard. It's like the search for the Titanic. I was just loving it, documentary style. I'm just
It
having a
sounds
great
so
time.
exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's in 5,000 feet of water. So it took an hour for the little remote vehicle to get from when they put it in the water to get to the seafloor.
And 5,000 feet of water, is this the kind of thing like when you're looking at the image, you can only see, 20 feet ahead of you or
Yeah.
10 feet ahead of you or whatever?
Yeah, about 20, 25 feet ahead of you. Yeah.
Okay.
So it gets down there and you see that, they're looking around for literally like 2 or 3 minutes. They're looking around and they're moving it very slowly. And I'm filming the guys watching the monitor, and it's
Okay.
recording. And my beta deck is recording what the ROV is transmitting
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And they say, "Oh, look, there's a little rise. Let's go over that little rise." And it's like a little hill hummock in the seafloor. And they go over it. They come over the top of it, and there's the conning tower of a U-boat.
Oh my gosh.
It
That's
was
amazing.
It was like you couldn't have written it in a movie any more dramatic than that. It was so awesome. So they
Well,
found.
I mean, it was clear what it was.
Oh yeah, it was very obvious what it was.
Wow.
It has a distinct shape. The back of
Yeah.
the conning tower of the U-boats from World War II had very distinct railings, the way that they were around where the periscopes and all were. So
Yeah.
they knew. It was in 2 pieces. It was the U-166.
Wow.
And so they were able to find out over the years. They knew it was the U-166 was the last one that had been missing in the Gulf. They just didn't know where it was.
Oh, okay. They already knew that. I gotcha.
Yeah. So they explored all around it. It was in 2 spots. It was broken apart, about 40 yards apart from each other. And then about a mile from there was the wreckage of the transport ship that it had torpedoed and sunk.
Oh, wow.
And it was the U.S. Robert E. Lee. I think it was the name of it. It was bringing wounded prisoners back who had been wounded in Atlantic operations. They were at a hospital somewhere in the Caribbean, and they were being brought back on this transport ship to New Orleans. And it got sunk. The U-boat attacked it and sank it. Only 2 or 3 people were killed. They did rescue all the other prisoners on that, but the Robert E. Lee was there, and it's still there. So we went and explored that, which was cool to see it. And so there was a representative on this expedition from Michelle from what was, before it was even opened, the National D-Day Museum. It hadn't even opened
in New
yet.
Orleans, which is a really cool museum.
Well, it's now the National World War II Museum, but for the first four and a half years, it was just the D-Day Museum because they were.
Oh, okay.
It was dedicated to the history of D-Day, but they did oral histories and they were doing the history of the entire war, but which is why they eventually changed it. But
gotcha.
So I met the chief historian who was on the expedition, and he had been doing research about this U-boat. So after the course of 2 or 3 months after that, they found out all kinds of things about the crew. They found that the executive officer of this U-boat, it had been on sea trials in the North Sea near Bremen, and he shot 8mm film. And then the U-boat went to Lorient, which is on the west coast of France on the Atlantic, which was the big German sub base for the Atlantic. When they got to Lorient, before they would dispatch to the Gulf of Mexico, the executive officer put this it was exposed, but undeveloped film footage and photos and in his footlocker, sent it to his wife. The U-boat came to the Gulf, got sank. He never returned. His wife was now a widow, had his footlocker, and was upset. So she packed it away and didn't open it until 2000.
Oh my gosh. Wait, and so this footlocker is sitting there unopened
for years, for 60,
this
70
went
years.
Down.
Yeah.
Or prior
so some
that.
kind of way, the D-Day Museum historian got in touch with the historians in Germany, and they interviewed her. She donated the footlocker, and so this undeveloped roll of 8mm film. So they had it developed, processed, and it is amazing footage. Looks like it, other than that it's black and white, looks like it was shot last week.
That's 60 years old, right?
Yeah. It looked like it was shot last week. I mean, it is in great shape.
Oh my gosh!
I actually have a copy.
Is it of the ship or of what's
it's
it of?
all their operations when they were on sea trials in the North Sea.
It's
Just the
unbelievable.
crew, the captain, a bunch of it's just amazing.
Wow.
So I
So
would love to do a documentary about this, and I've told the
I was just going to ask. So it's never been turned into a documentary?
no, no, and I was
How is
just
that possible?
reminding people at the D-Day Museum, the World War II Museum, just recently because I still know people over there. I've done a lot of
Yeah.
work for them over the years, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have so many great ideas. It's all a matter of funding." It's like, well, let's try to
Yeah,
get the
but that
funding to do
seems
it.
like, oh my gosh, I mean, well,
The
and
story is
the
so much
question is,
more involved and complex than what I just said. It's amazing. It's a great story.
but it also seems like, I mean, how much funding do you need? You sort of have the big stuff. It seems like, maybe
Yeah,
not
I mean, we
crazy,
would
but
have to do some more shooting a little bit. We, have somebody to, to write it.
yeah.
It
Wow.
would be, we could probably do it for less than $100,000. But
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. Is that? I mean, so you've seen that 8 millimeter video?
I have a copy of it. Yeah, I have a
You
copy of
do.
it on videotape. Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
yeah,
That's just that's like chills up my spine.
yeah,
Let me ask you a question. When it went over the hill and you saw the conning tower, was it just silent, or did
yeah.
people like?
I don't remember. There was the guys from the MMS were like, "Oh my God," that kind of thing. It was silent, and then there was all these gasps of amazement, and then as they
Yeah.
were, Lord, it got quiet too because it also was apparent, and as they discussed amongst themselves, it's now officially recognized by the governments of both the U.S. and Germany as a war grave
Oh, sure. Yeah. So suddenly it's not
because the
just
entire
a.
yeah the entire
Yeah,
crew
you
died.
realize that these men died on there.
Yeah, yeah, I
Wow.
think it was 40 or 50 people, something like that.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
But that is.
it was
I
one of
remember.
the coolest moments I've
Yeah.
experienced.
I
I
didn't. I
always was a
I didn't
history buff,
remember
so
all of that. I
yeah,
didn't remember all of that, but I remember you telling me that.
yeah,
I couldn't quite remember who, but at the thing, and just I was in shock. I mean, that's one of the coolest things I've ever heard someone experience in this business.
yeah. It was amazing, and that actually got me sort of in with the guys at the then D-Day Museum, and I shot a bunch of stuff. And I actually, my production company, we've done a lot of the media that's in the exhibits in the National World War II Museum.
Oh wow! Oh, that's
Particularly,
amazing.
almost the entire year 2014, I spent doing almost nothing but that,
Wow.
which was
Well,
great.
I've been to that museum, and I mean, it's an incredible museum, and the audiovisual stuff is incredible. So I didn't even realize I was looking at some of your stuff, but
Yeah, we
it's like,
counted. We did 530 videos that are in the museum.
wow, that's amazing. That's a
Yeah.
great, and it's in. Am I wrong? Is it in an old duck boat factory or something like
No,
that?
it's
Like some
actually
sort
in
of.
an old brewery.
Oh, why did I think it
But
was in a factory that built something for the war?
no, that's the reason that the museum is in New Orleans because all the landing craft boats that they were called Higgins boats were built in New Orleans. Well, not all, but like 90% of all the landing craft that were built for World War II were built in New Orleans. A
Okay.
guy named Andrew Higgins who owned the company that got the contract, and because he developed these boats that were low draft, could go right up on a beach, lower a ramp, and it was really because he was a bootlegger in the 20s and 30s. So he knew how to have boats that could go in almost any water and evade the police. Um, and that's what it was developed from. But yeah,
Wow.
that factory was in New Orleans in the war, and they built also all the landing craft you see like in D-Day footage and in the Pacific and everything. All those boats were built here, which is why the museum and the way that happened is because I knew Stephen Ambrose too. I got to do a bunch of things with him before he passed away, and
Hmm.
he always told the story. He was doing uh, Dwight Eisenhower's autobiography, his biography. He was the writer, and so one of the times he was interviewing Eisenhower, Eisenhower was asking Ambrose, "Well, where are you from?" He goes, "Well, I'm originally from wherever, Wisconsin or wherever Ambrose was born." He goes, "But I've lived in New Orleans for years. I'm at the University of New Orleans." And Ambrose goes, "Oh, so you know all about Andrew Higgins?" And Ambrose was like, "Well, yeah, I know a little bit about him." And Eisenhower told Ambrose, "Well, he's the man who won the war for us."
Oh wow.
And Ambrose was like, "What do you mean?" It's just because he designed and built those boats, and that's how we were able to do amphibious landings.
Wow.
And so that intrigued Ambrose, and that's what got him really started in that whole journey of learning about all that. And that's why the D-Day Museum is in New Orleans because of that.
Gotcha.
And the original building was
wild.
an old brewery that they added on to, and then
Okay.
they have built, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other buildings since then that are brand new.
Yeah. It's well, if anybody's near in New Orleans, it's worth checking out. But what a great thing to be a part of.
Oh yeah,
And what also, like, I mean, all the scripted stuff that we do is fun and whatever, but in the
right.
long run, it's like whatever. But this is something really important that
Yeah.
helps
Well, exactly.
maintain it for the future.
Exactly, and that's what I always said. That to me is the stuff that I'm the most proud of.
That's great.
Meeting, movie stars and working in movies. That's fun. All right,
Yeah,
cool,
that's
whatever.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
This actually has some merit, and the people that I, were the most excited to meet were all the veterans. I've met a whole bunch of
Sure.
World War II vets.
Oh,
Really
that's great.
amazing
That's
stories.
really cool.
I like
So-
hearing stories about people, and that's why I like working on movies and things. But it's the real deal.
It's the real deal, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, the story you just told me, unbelievable. If
Yeah.
it had been fictional, it would have been cool, but nowhere near as cool as like it being the real deal and it actually happening.
Yeah.
Truly amazing, truly amazing. So I want to ask you, NCIS New Orleans, 113 episodes. Tell me about that.
Well, so now you were sort of alluding to I was not the Steadicam operator on that. I was a camera, and then I also shot a couple of episodes, full episodes as DP, and then
no, that's fine. You're still an operator on it.
Yeah.
I just, it's more.
Yeah.
What is that? 5 seasons? 6 seasons?
It was 5.5. The show went for 7 seasons. I was not on the first 1.5 seasons. I came in for the second half of season 2, and it went through 7.
Yeah.
That was also the very last season was during the height of COVID, so it was
Gotcha.
only 16 episodes.
That's a whole other thing. So again, for the people who are listening who are younger, they may not recognize this, but it used to be that a television season was 22, sometimes 23 episodes.
Yeah,
I think.
well,
the
first, let's see, the first 5 seasons were seasons 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were 24 episodes each.
Yeah, so it's generally 9 months of straight work.
It was 9 months, 9.5 months. That was a great gig.
Yeah,
I mean, is it Emmy award winning material? No,
whatever.
But look, we averaged 11-hour days. That was the average.
Back then too. That's fantastic.
So, because honestly, there was a series in the 90s here that I did primarily Steadicam for called, it was based on the movie The Big Easy, and they did 2 seasons of it here.
Oh yeah.
For USA Network back in the 90s, and I did both seasons. It actually paid for my master series. And we averaged probably 15, 16-hour days on that. It was brutal. I did 1 week. I remember one of the episodes, I did a 92-hour week in 5 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I was doing Steadicam. I mean, I was in really good shape back then. And I was like sick that weekend. We wrapped it at like 11 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's blood money right there. That's terrible.
That's why I had said, you know what, I will never do another episodic. I did features almost exclusively and some concerts after that, until NCIS New Orleans.
What changed your mind?
There was not a lot of work going on here.
Yeah.
I had filled in a couple of days, and it was pretty pleasant. And I said, we average 12-hour days is unusual. It's usually 11. We rarely do all-nighters. We always wrap by midnight on Fridays at the latest usually. And so I was like, oh yeah, it's just steady work. So yeah, I took that, and I didn't regret it at all, because I got to shoot 2 full episodes. I did half of 4 other episodes, and I did a whole bunch of additional days of DVDing.
So I mean, it doesn't really happen that often anymore, but do you remember, I sort of think back, because I did ER and I did some other things where we did 22 episodes.
Yeah.
And I sort of look back, and granted I was younger and it was exciting, but how do you mentally keep your head in the game?
It's hard.
It's because no matter what you're doing, at some point it becomes a little bit of a machine, right?
Absolutely. As I said, particularly the last year or so,
the
show pretty much shot itself.
Sure.
There wasn't. Yes, was there creativity that went into it, and those were the days that made it more exciting. But most of the time, it was just like, let's just get through it.
Master over, single. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we were 3 cameras, almost every scene, and most of the time it was handheld. Yeah, it definitely, that is definitely a challenge. That's why I really pushed to start doing some of the DPing on it, because you really have to be into it to do a good job of that. And I enjoyed that
Yeah.
more. I've been operating for 50 years, and so it becomes, okay, well, where's the challenge? The
Yeah.
challenge is getting up and doing it,
Getting through it. Right.
Yeah. But the good thing is that the cast and crew of NCIS, it became a family. Everybody got along, 99.9% of the time really well.
Yep.
We made it fun. That's a big part of it to me, is if you have to make it fun to be able to get through something like that. So that we would joke around. We would still get the work done. We took that part of it seriously, but we also, I particularly made a point, you know what, we're going to have fun doing this.
Yeah.
And luckily, the vast majority of, cast and producers and everything, they agreed and they treated us really well. That's the producers of that show. They treated the crew really well. We had great catering and craft service, and they definitively went out of their way to not necessarily do long night, particularly on Fridays. They did not want to go to Fridays. I think in the 5.5 years I was there, I think there were 3 times we went past midnight on a Friday.
Wow, that's impressive for because usually it just backs up and that's the way it goes.
No, it was a machine. It was efficient, and that was a good thing, because we all learned, this is how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you've ever worked in London on anything episodic, but
no.
who was I? I was talking to Jeff Jur, who did the last couple of seasons of, I want to say it's Bridgerton, I think it's called, but they only work 10-hour days,
right?
And so if they have night stuff, they start the week out with it, and they get through the night stuff, and then they work backwards into a day schedule.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the week, they have a full weekend, and potentially even longer if they start nights on Monday. And it's just like, that makes so much sense.
Yes.
Rather than just everything getting, slammed.
And in so many cases, particularly with episodic stuff, there's no reason to be doing 15-hour days. I'm sorry. No. If it's 15-hour days, then somebody's not doing a good job on their job.
Yeah. Yeah. Or add another day if you have to. Right?
That's the way I look at it. Yeah. It's like, there's just no reason for that. When did it become normal that a 12-hour day in our business is considered normal? Really?
Yeah. It is kind of nuts, and I tell people who are in the business and they don't understand. I mean, thankfully, those probably 5-6 years ago, with that contract that John Lindley was able to put through with others, we got to that point where there's the weekend turnaround, and everybody sort of went. But I don't know about you, but I immediately saw. On Friday, people going, hang on, we got to work this out, because we're going to be in big trouble on Monday. Right. And those things largely went away.
Right. So, well, interesting thing, and I don't know if I should even say this on a podcast, but what the hell? I have nothing to lose at this point. When I worked on Renfield, the movie Renfield, which was a lot of fun. We had a great time. It was generally very, very good. The DP in the main unit, Mitch Amundsen, I've done 5 movies with him, either as an operator and then usually second unit DP. So he got me to do the second unit, to DP second unit on Renfield, which grew tremendously. It was originally like 6 or 7 days, and it ended up being 31. So we were doing 1 week, and I think I had 2 days with the main unit and the other, and it was a 6-day week. And so I did 4 days of DPing the second unit, and we did a couple of long days. We did a couple of 12-hour days, but we did a bunch of stunt things. We had 2 days to do stunts. We did 169 and 42. What is that? 111. We did 111 setups in 2 days with stunts.
Oh my gosh!
Fighting, wire work, 3 cameras. So, and those were both 12-hour days, because the producer said we're not going past 12. And I said, man, you can't add another day. But we only have access to the location for 2 days. So it's like, well, then you're going to have to probably let us do one of the days as a little bit past 12. And we did. I think we went to 13.
Yeah.
But we did 111 setups in 2 days. stunts. So anyway,
Yeah.
at the end of the week, production had not realized that certain provisions of the new contract had kicked in, particularly
Yeah.
meal penalties and turnaround.
Yep.
The whole meal penalty thing. I had 72 meal penalties that week.
Well, and so anybody who doesn't know, now on a union show, again, thanks to that contract, once you go past 20 meal penalties in a week, which just means that they've, it's 6 hours you have to eat. So then for every half hour, you get a meal penalty.
Yep.
After 20, you get what's called prevailing rate. So your 21st meal penalty, you get 1 hour of your salary, and your
Yep.
22nd, you get another hour of your salary. So
Yes.
if you had 72 or something like
Yeah.
that,
So I had 52 extra hours of
salary because
at
of
the
meal
DP
penalty.
rate.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you had that, but it's good that at least you got compensated for it, because
Yeah,
you should.
it was great.
Ridiculous.
The producers came. I know the guy who's the production. He came to me and he goes, "Oh, how'd you like that Brinks truck that pulled up to your house the other day?" And I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
"What?"
Right.
He
Oh.
goes, "Your paycheck." And I was like, "Hey, all it took was a phone call. You guys
Yeah.
could have found out. We all knew. Why didn't you know?"
Yep. And
So-
and also, why are you working us like that? It's in the ball's in your court. You don't have to do this, but
Well, here's another thing, and look, not to get too negative, but I have certain things that just get to me about the business. Do you remember when productions, movies, TV shows had like 2 or maybe 3 producers?
Yes, as opposed to 20 to 30.
Close to 20 or 30.
Yeah,
And they actually don't do anything. They don't take control of the set or anything. I remember I worked on a couple of shows where the producer would come in and say, it's 12 hours. He could be in the middle of a take. He'd come on set at the 12th hour and say,
Yep.
"That's it. It's a wrap. Go home."
Yeah.
We're like, "Well, can we finish this setup?" "No. Go home."
Well, the big change that I saw, and I hope nobody listening to this takes offense, because I understand everybody, if someone can do better for themselves, they all want to. But
Yeah.
the big change that I saw was when writers started becoming executive producers.
Yes.
And because it used to be that a writer turned in a script, and then it would get broken down, and then they would go back to the writer and say, "This is a day too long," or "We need to take a little bit out of this. Let's shave it down," and whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what they had to do. And now that a writer is an executive producer, not only do they not have to do that, but they're on set, and the director will do something, and they'll go, "Well, writers come in and say, let's just do it a little differently this way." So you're doing extra takes, you're doing extra setups, you're doing, and again, nothing against them. They've got that ability, and they're using it to make what they think is the best episode. But it doesn't. There's a price to be paid for it. Do you know?
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we usually are the ones who are paying the price.
Yeah. And and then production gets upset at us saying, "Why is this costing so much money?" And it's like, well,
look at me.
This could be easier.
Yeah.
So I get there's a lot of issues that go on with it, but thankfully we continue to try to push it forward and get to these better hours, and
exactly.
And I think the hours have actually gotten better from when they were in the 90s.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's why I had no issues at all with like my time on NCIS. We, like I said, we averaged 11-hour days, and that's for an episodic. Great. It was virtually most of the time a pleasant work environment to be in. The cast was great, the crew was great, the producers were really great. So we actually had a really good time doing it.
Well, and I guess to my question, what the answer to that I'm hearing is you looked forward to going to work. There were good people to work with. You had a good time. You were,
it was
making it harder than it had to be.
It was very rare where we dreaded it. If we were going to be shooting in a swamp in August, then I dreaded it. But other than that, no, it was a great gig, a great experience, and that's
great.
We just had a get together last week. We went to lunch. There were like I think there were 10 or 11 of us, crew people, who got together.
Oh, that's great.
For breakfast and lunch. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. I think my litmus test to this is I always say I don't mind working hard. I just don't want to work harder than we have to.
Right.
And because generally that translates to we're not being smart about this, or we're doing something that is just a waste of time or whatever. It's like, yes, it's a hard job. I get it. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. Let's just not make it harder than it has to be.
Exactly.
Especially if there's no benefit to it,
Well, sometimes people obsess over things that it's like, that makes no difference to what is on the screen.
That's exactly right. Yep.
No one's going to notice. No one's going to. And yes, my brother, DGA for years, he actually worked on The Young and the Restless, which could lead us into that other little thing you want.
I want to ask you about that. Yeah.
So he was the first AD on The Young and the Restless for 24 years. I think it was 24.
Wow, 24 years. And,
here's another thing. This will make you cringe. Their average pages per day, 80.
Wait, 80 pages a day? So they're shooting an episode in a day?
They would shoot a little over an episode a day, and they would get away. They would take 4 weeks off at Christmas, and usually 2 weeks in the summer. So,
my gosh!
So he got actually a Lifetime Achievement Award at the DGA Awards back in 2006. I think it was. So we all went to it. My whole family, we were there, and when one of the actors from The Young and the Restless introduced him, and they said, here's a man who, for the past 24 years, has averaged 80 pages a day, and the whole audience went, oh,
I know, right? But basically, because they don't do multiple takes, or how do you do that?
Everything is pre-lit. They would do a block. They would block it. They would shoot it. 2 takes was unusual. Most of it's 1. 3 was almost unheard of.
Really?
So almost everything on those soap operas that you see, particularly like on The Restless, he always said, was 1 take.
Sure. Yeah.
That would take 1, but they would block
it.
And it was all pre-lit, so they didn't have to worry about that. And the camera guys...
No. You could just go, okay, and next, and next, and next, and next.
And that really did become a machine. They would know the camera guy, everybody knew what to do, so they would move on. But he had his license plate on his car in L.A. is RTFT.
RTFT?
Roll the effing tape. Because there would be if somebody would like slow down and
why are we not rolling?
Roll the freaking tape. Let's get this on. Because he averaged like 17, 18-hour days.
That is absolute 17, 18.
Well, he was the first AD, so he had to be there first in the morning.
Of course.
There were many times they shot at a Television City, which is now no longer Television City.
In Los Feliz in Los Angeles?
Yeah, it was at the corner of Beverly and Fairfax.
Oh, okay. All right. So it was a different place. Okay.
Yeah. Beverly and Fairfax. So it was there for years where they used to do all the Carol Burnett and all that stuff.
And it's like the big CBS.
Yes.
I think it's CBS or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It got bought. So it's no longer Television City. They have to keep the CBS logo there, I think, because it's a National Historic.
Oh, it's like a landmark or something like that. Yeah. Oh,
but
wow.
So they would, he would spend the night there frequently during the week. And not go home until the weekend because he'd have, they'd wrap at midnight. He'd have to be back at 4:30 in the morning, so he'd sleep in the dressing room.
So what did you do on The Young? Did you do Steadicam on The Young and the Restless?
Well, so they came. They didn't even know that I was related to my brother because he'd been there for. They did occasionally, a couple of times a year, they would go to some other city and do some location stuff. They came to New Orleans and they did parts of 5 episodes, and they needed a DP. So I got the gig. And they didn't even know that I was related to, the guy with the first AD. Now, my brother didn't come here. It was a different AD who got assigned to it. But when I told him, I said, guess what? I'm working on your show. He's like, why? Yeah. Because he wanted to come, and they couldn't work it out schedule-wise. But I DP'd those parts of those 5 episodes here. And so, no, I operated a camera, but I was mainly just the DP. And I had a guy that I trained here to do Steadicam, and I let him do the Steadicam job.
Gotcha. But they don't have Steadicam on the show regularly, do they?
No, only when they go.
That was just because of location.
Yeah, only when they do location stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then does did you have to light it the same as they light? Like, is there a lighting style that you have to follow there, or is it because it's on location you can actually do something different?
Because it was location, I could kind of do what I wanted. But and most of it was exterior anyway, because they were shooting. They wanted to show that they were actually.
They want to see the city. Yeah.
We had to do some stuff where you could see out the window, and the actors would go out the French door onto a balcony.
That's fun though. And how many pages did you do in a day?
That one it was less. I think we were doing like 20.
Only 20.
Yeah. Because I used to tell my brother, amazing. NCIS guy, we did 13 pages today, and he would just scoff at me and go like,
he'd say, oh wow, that's amazing.
Like a feature, you're doing a page and a half,
Yeah, or if that. Yeah. That's wild. I want to ask you about Monsters Ball.
Yeah.
Were you on the whole show?
No, I was only there for a few days.
Oh, okay.
This is one of those situations where it was getting to the point in my career they wanted a deal on the Steadicam. They wanted to
Yep.
pay me a lower rate, and I was like,
hmm
no, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You got Billy Bob Thornton, you got Halle
Yeah.
Berry,
Come
Peter
on.
Boyle, Heath Ledger. This is before Heath Ledger was really big, but anyway, it's still, and you had Roberto Schaefer was the DP. It's like, you know what? Yeah, it's all right. It's low budget, but it's not. I'm sorry. I'm not going to cut $200 off my day rate to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
So they wanted me for, I don't know, like 2 weeks. And I was like, no, I'll do it if you pay my rate. It was literally $200 a day. That was the difference, which in the grand scheme of things is nothing, as we all know.
No.
But and stupidly for me, the one time I stuck to my guns, the show, it was critically acclaimed. So I was only there for a couple of days. I did some stuff. I did a pretty intense scene with Halle Berry. In fact, when she received the Oscar, the clip that they showed was the thing that I did. It was
wow, that's pretty cool.
Steadicam shot. Yeah, they were in the attic of a house, and they couldn't get a dolly up there, so it was all Steadicam. We were shooting anamorphic. I had to do this. I built this ramp because I had to look straight down into a box that she was taking photos out, and then I have to back down this Apple box ramp as she picks the stuff up out of the box, come to her, level up. And it was a really slow creep-in move on her. She backs away. You know how that is.
Yeah.
And it was like 102 degrees in the attic.
Of course, because you're in the attic. Yeah.
It was July here in New Orleans. It's like, oh my God, I'm sweating buckets. I'm sweat dripping off the end of my nose. It's like, and then Billy Bob and then Heath Ledger. It was like, oh, this is cool. So
that's
at
pretty cool.
At least I got one of my shots at the Oscars. It's like, oh, that's really cool.
That's neat. That's neat. So you just mentioned all these actors. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because we do go in sometimes day playing, sometimes just on a full show, but beginning the show and working with these big actors who sometimes can be difficult, sometimes can be great, but we don't really know.
Right.
And they're people that we hear things about, obviously, and we have inclinations. What's your how do you go in and deal with that? What do you do when you go in and you're working with
try my best not to be starstruck. And just treat them as people, as professionals, and the vast majority of times that works wonders.
Yeah. Have you ever? And I'm not going to ask who it is, but have you ever been with an actor, name or not, who really has clearly not wanted to work with you and been tough?
Only once or twice.
And what do you do? What do you do in that situation?
You just kind of put your head down, do the work, and move on.
But
keep your mouth shut.
What if it's the type of thing where they're just not willing to work with you to make the shot work? Well, there's some specific aspect.
You take the blame.
Yeah.
Yeah. You put it all on you.
That's unfortunate, but it's definitely a way to go.
And those are the hard things, particularly as I've gotten older. Those are the harder things for me to do more and more. But luckily it has been for me a very rare instance.
I think because of things like the Me Too movement and because of HR things and whatever, I think that has gotten less and less. It's not as tolerated the way that it used to be.
Right.
So I think it's getting less and less and less.
Yeah.
But it still is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned it before, and he, of course, spoke about it on the show. But Tommy Shalami, who's an incredible director, once said to me, when I run into an actor like that, what I realize is this is an incredibly frightened individual.
Yeah. True.
Who is lashing out because they are scared, and he was like, I don't know what it is, if it's because they have to bare their soul, if because they think they're a fraud, whatever. And he said, I always try to put that in my mind and try to sort of use that so as not to hold it against them and go, I still want to help you. I don't want to, I don't want to shut you, because you do sort of want to shut them down, right?
Right.
And just go, I'm not going to work with you.
I actually came very close one time to punching an actor.
Oh boy!
And I knew
you want to share it without saying who it was.
Yeah, it was. I was only there for a few days as B camera in a scene with just two actors. Both are very well known.
Yeah.
One who is an incredible actor and an incredibly nice person. The
Yeah.
other, good actor, just
A bad. Yeah.
historically difficult, although I've heard have changed their ways somewhat in
Yeah. Oh, well,
recent
that's
years.
good. Maybe they
But
got
yeah,
help.
so we were in
Yeah.
this room. The A camera was shooting through a window to get. We're doing dueling overs,
Okay.
and so the B camera were in the room, and so my assistants were with me, my two assistants, and the two actors, and it was all that was in the room. And so my second whispered to my first, saying,
Mhm.
something like this, and the actor who was difficult whipped his head around. You can't talk in here. It was like really getting on her case and yelling at us. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we're talking about the camera.
Yeah.
We're setting the camera up. We have to get the camera ready for the scene. You can't
This
do
is
that
not
while
during.
I'm
This
in.
is not during. This is not during a take.
No, not during a take. This
Yeah.
is while we're setting up. I mean, we were probably
Just to make sure.
3-4 minutes away from rolling, but
Yeah. Yeah.
and, so I gave him my dad look. Because I wanted to hit him so bad, but I said,
Oh my God.
I don't want to go to jail, so I won't.
Yeah. No. I hear you. I hear you. It's tough. Sometimes you have to swallow it, right?
I said, if we want to be able to shoot this, we have to get the camera ready.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like,
yeah.
well, just be quiet, just be quiet. He kind of back muttering to himself. And so I turned to my assistants and I said, do what you have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
This a-hole is not going to dictate how we do our
It's
job.
tough. And look, at the same time, I wouldn't want to do their job. I think they have the hardest job on set, but they also,
I certainly am
they
definitely
asked
meant
for that job.
I'm definitely meant for behind the camera.
Yeah, definitely. No question about it. I was just interviewing someone the other day. Oh, Jeffrey Pratt Gordon, who's an amazing set designer.
Oh.
And he started out in props, but he was telling me, which I had no idea. He's from Baltimore, and Baltimore has that very sort of insular Baltimore community of filmmakers who are sort of like, they do their thing. And he did the pilot for The Wire as a props person, and then he didn't do the show because someone else did it. But second season, the writer who knew him called him up and said, I don't know if you're interested, but I want to write a part for you in the show.
Oh, wow.
and he ended up becoming a series regular in the show for one season.
Oh, that's great.
And I said to him, this is what made me think of it. You saying that, not talking and being behind the camera. I said, how did that, how was that mentally? And he said, oh God, he said, for starters, I had a trailer. I never went to the trailer because I felt embarrassed that I had a trailer.
Yeah.
And,
right.
He said, I'd sit on set and I'd watch all my friends busting their humps doing this thing. And I'm sitting here in my chair and they're bringing me food and whatever. It's gotta be weird, right? And you're like, nope, I'm behind the camera. I don't speak. I do my thing. And
I tell you, I do have a sense of understanding about why some actors get, sort of somewhat entitled because many of them have everything done for them. It would be hard not to get spoiled.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's why I respect the ones even more who are not spoiled.
Because they've fought that you're different, the fact that people like treat them as if they're different or they're above or whatever.
And I've been fortunate to have worked with quite a few decent name actors who are like just delightful to work with. I mean,
good people.
And I guess that, Mark Ruffalo. I loved Mark Ruffalo. He was awesome. I really had no idea who he was before, and we started on Now You See Me, and
okay.
He and I got to be buddies. He introduced me to his wife and kids, and it's like, it was so much fun. I treated him just like everyday Joe, and he
that's the best. That's absolutely the best. No question
Morgan
about
Freeman and Michael Caine, they were just awesome. They were just delightful to be with. It was great. Yeah, Scott Bakula on NCIS was fantastic.
But let me ask you a question. When you're working with someone like specifically Michael Caine, I mean, there's got to be a moment when you walk on set the first time where you're like, oh my God, this is Michael Caine.
Yes. One of my favorite pictures of me operating, I'm hand holding a Millennium or whatever, and Morgan Freeman is standing right just behind my left shoulder, and on the monitor on the camera is Michael Caine.
Oh, that's great.
It was a conversation between the two of them, and I was doing that. So that's one of my favorite shots of me on set.
By the way, not to mention, just hearing that, like sort of the melodious sound of listening to Michael Caine speak and then Morgan Freeman speak must have been fantastic.
Oh God, yeah. If Morgan Freeman had been there a little longer, I probably would have worked up the nerve to say, Morgan, would you record my voicemail greeting?
I know someone who did that with James Earl Jones and asked him to do
Really, Darth
Darth
Vader's
Vader.
voice? Did he do it?
Yeah, he did it.
That's awesome. Yeah, see, a handful of those
I'm
people.
sure he gets asked all the time. You know,
Yeah,
or did get asked all the time.
and I have a
But
feeling Morgan Freeman would have done the same if I had worked up the nerve to do it. But yeah,
yeah,
it
oh,
was
that's
great.
great. What was that? This was a movie, I'm assuming.
Now You See Me, the first one.
Oh, Now You See Me. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it was a lot of fun.
That's great.
That was a lot of fun. That movie.
But that is the blast for me of like when I show up and I'm working with someone who like I grew up watching these people in these old movies and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, good God, Michael Caine and
I
Morgan
know.
Freeman. That was about as close to being starstruck, I think, as I've ever come.
I get it. I totally get it. That's and that's a double whammy right there.
I mean,
That's
we were doing
fantastic.
something with Michael Caine on a stage. It was supposed to be like a magic show, and the gag is that they handcuff his ankle to the stage, and I had to get this close up of his ankle with the handcuffs around
Yeah.
the handcuff to the stage, and he actually did it. It's like, we're not seeing your face. There's no. Well, are we going to use a double or a stand-in? No, I'll do it. I'll do it. And he kind of tripped and fell and landed on his side. And I'm thinking to
Oh,
myself,
geez.
as this is going on, I'm thinking, okay, I can see the headlines.
Yeah.
New Orleans camera operator,
Kills
kills
Michael Caine.
Sir Michael Caine. So I put the camera down, run up, I grab Michael, because he didn't want to be called Sir. He wanted just to be called Michael.
Yeah, of course.
Michael, you okay? Oh, he goes, oh. But it was delightful what he said. He was like, oh no, we're light on our feet, is what he said.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so
Those are the stories, and that's why we do this, right? Like those moments
yeah,
that are just like
yeah. I mean, there's those handful of movies we go, oh yeah, that was tough, and then
Yeah.
there's the ones that's like, oh, that was just so much fun.
that was worth it. That was worth the whole thing.
When I did that remake of Red Dawn, that's the most fun I've ever had on a show.
Really?
A movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? How so?
It was everything about it was just fun. The environment we were in, I actually, being from New Orleans, we shot that in Detroit and the surrounding areas. So I got to experience the seasons. We started filming after Labor Day and went into December. So I went through all the seasons. It was great. It was warm, then it was fall, and then it was winter. It was just awesome. I loved it. The cast was great. It was just fun. The crew was fantastic. We had so much fun. They
Wow,
didn't
that's
overwork
fantastic.
us. It was just a delightful experience. Too
What
bad the
was
movie
it?
wasn't that
What
great.
was it? I mean, was it a faithful remake? I never saw the second one.
I actually liked it better because it's not campy like the first one.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
But that's biased for me being there, probably. I mean, it was Chris Hemsworth and
Mhm.
Josh Hutcherson and uh, um, Adrian Palicki and Dan Bradley directed it. It's his only directing as a main director rather than just second unit. Because Dan did like the Bourne movies and James Bond, and so his stunt team, they're like top notch. They're like the cream of the crop stunt guys, and
Gotcha.
I actually did.
Oh, that's great.
I did the second unit on that movie too, so that was a lot of fun. I got to work with those guys. It was fun.
Where'd you shoot it?
In Detroit, most of it in Detroit. We shot some about an hour away, but most of it was in Detroit in the suburbs.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. There
Yeah,
you go.
I had a great time. Now You
that's
See Me was
great.
a lot of fun. It was great, and I loved NCIS, and Renfield was fun as well. It was fun.
I'm not familiar with Renfield. What is
So
that?
it was Nicolas Cage, Nicholas Hoult, and the comedian Aquafina.
Okay.
It's sort of a dark comedy. Renfield was Dracula's assistant.
Oh, that I do remember this. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't see it, but I remember it.
So it's very dark. Some of it's silly, some of it's not. Dark humor. It's really weird. I was not impressed when we were shooting it with the script. I didn't think I was going to like it, but when I saw the movie after it was done, I was like, you know what? Okay, it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'll have to check it out. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's,
How's Nicolas Cage?
He's very professional.
Yeah.
Not
Is it?
warm, but I've done 3 movies with him, and
Oh, really? Okay.
he's all business.
Okay. Gotcha.
Which is fine. So it's not difficult. It's just if you
Yeah.
know it's business. This is what we're here to do,
Do the work. Move on.
and
Yeah.
we move through it. It's like that's totally fine with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Very
yeah, he was
cool.
great. And then Nicholas Hoult, a British guy, he was delightful. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. It's always good when you hear these people that they're great to work
Yeah,
with.
it was great. We had to simulate some scenes. They were putting Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult in the old original 1931 Dracula movie. So I had to shoot it like that and light it like with Fresnels and everything, this black and white
Oh,
stuff.
wow.
I had so much fun doing that. That was like two
That's a
days.
blast.
Yeah, it was great.
One specific thing I want to ask you, because I don't know that I've talked to anybody else who's quite in your position. You live in a smaller market, so I
Yeah.
mean, other of what you would call markets, New
Yes.
Orleans is probably the smallest in the country on some
Yeah.
level, I
Probably
guess.
so. Yeah.
So just tell me, how is that? I mean, other than the obvious, how is that different? How do you make that work? Does it make you? Do you
Well,
need
I
to
mean,
branch out more? I mean, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah, particularly early on. I mean, I ended up doing more than just, some Steadicam guys are just, I do episodics or I do features or I do music videos.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, I had to be willing to do any and all of that. And also accept the fact that the big shows, they were rarely going to pick me. They would usually bring somebody big in, which is fine. So it was just a matter of, accepting that this is not Hollywood here. It's not New York. It's not a big market. So I just make the best I can. And I have over the years.
Gotcha.
But it's like, why? I don't have some of that type A mentality that some guys do. I will certainly take charge on a set, but only if I'm supposed to.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm pretty decent about accepting, well, this is the role that I'm playing. It's all about role playing and playing the role properly. So if I know that, okay, this is a small market, I'm a small market guy, that's how I'm going to be. I'll do good work and I'll do whatever I can to get by, which is why I've done so many different things. And I did concerts for 12 years and I have my own production company. I did all this stuff for the World War II Museum. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
You got to roll with it a little bit more than a market where you could pick and choose.
Yeah, and now look, since 2007 here in New Orleans, things were really good. That they put tax incentives in place, which Georgia also did that a couple of years later, and Atlanta is probably, because it's a much bigger market, probably a better place to do bigger stuff and more stuff. But because it's a small production community here, it has certainly grown. Up until 3 years ago. And we were very fortunate in that 8-9 year run. It was really busy here a lot. I never really, the only time that I was like, wow, it slowed down a little bit was in between Free State of Jones. I finished that and I did some stuff on Magnificent Seven. And then there wasn't a lot going on for the 5 or 6 months after that before NCIS called me. So that was the only slow period in that like 8 or 9 year period, was those few months. So we've been really fortunate, and now that it has slowed down dramatically, it's really slow.
That's another story, right?
So I know a lot of people who have left the business, are just it's a shame because there's a lot of talent that's wasted.
You told me that you've actually taken retirement out of the union, even though you can still work.
Yes, I did. I decided to take it while the getting was good.
Sure. And granted, considering that work has slowed down, it makes sense. Was that a tough decision to make otherwise? I mean, is it hard to sort of go?
I had really hoped to go at least a couple more years, but I was trying just to DP things.
Yeah.
And I got an agent, and that's right when the slowdown hit. It was like,
gotcha.
Is it my fault? I mean, I will certainly operate, but DPing is where my interest is.
Sure.
So that's what I've really tried to do. And there's a couple of potential things out there in the next year or two that I could conceivably step into, low budget little projects, and I would love to do it. But beyond that, I'm content the other way. I'm okay with now having taken the retirement with my medical health insurance stuff. So that's a big relief.
Yeah, sure.
But it's kind of weird having worked in the business for so long that now at this point, it's like, really? Now it's a struggle after 50 years?
Well, it is weird. Like, I've sort of gotten to this point and it's like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be like.
Right.
I thought I'd be picking and choosing, but you can't. That's the business, right? You get in and you there's a lot of stuff you can't control, and you just have to rock with it, right?
Yeah,
and that's a big part of succeeding, I think, is figuring that out.
And look, I'm sure things are going to improve. It's just going to be a matter of in what form will that take,
In what form and when and how and all that. But you sort of have to rock with it as it goes. I mean, that's just part of that. That's part of being freelance and part of all that, which is has its good and its bad.
And look, here's another thing about one of the best things for me is all the really, really great people that I've met in this business over the years.
Absolutely.
Particularly through the Steadicam community. I mean, is there competition? Yes. But for the most, I mean, look at us. I mean, we've known each other. What's been, God, probably, Dave, it's probably been 25 years.
That was 20 some years. Yeah.
And do you remember you and I, we did 2 episodes of Cribs together? Do you remember those? I can tell you which ones they were.
I don't, but Cribs was crazy because, like, I remember very specifically, like, Cribs, you'd go to this, this famous person's house.
Yeah.
And you just sort of follow them around with a Steadicam and you just move it around. And then when you were tired, you'd let them walk out of the room and then you'd pick it up 10 minutes later. But what do we do?
So we did Shaq's house in Orlando.
You were with me at Shaq's house. No way. That was so much fun, actually.
Yeah.
I forgot there was another. Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. So you were doing the tour mainly with Shaq, and I was doing all the B-roll.
That's what okay. I do remember that. You know what I remember specifically about Shaq's house? I mean, first of all, that house was
64,000 square feet.
You know better than I do. Remember the bed? Remember the 10-foot wide round bed that he had?
10-foot circular bed, yes.
I'll tell you a couple things I remember at Shaq's house. That was my first Cribs.
Yes.
And beforehand, the producer, and maybe you must have been at this. We were at a bar or something like that, and they said, "Listen, we just want to go over tomorrow, and want to make sure everybody understands and what we're going to do and this and that and the other." And I remember she specifically said, "Now Shaq's a celebrity. We got to respect the fact that we're in his home. We, there's no asking for autographs. There's no asking for pictures. Like that whole thing." And I remember thinking, seriously, you got to tell us this? So I put my hand up and she goes, "Yeah, you have a question?" And I said, "Are we allowed to steal things if we're not caught?" Do you remember this?
I don't remember. That's great. I love that.
She looked at me and Daryl, the DP, just laughed. And I said, I mean, I'm being honest. Like, I mean, I wouldn't get caught. I wouldn't do it in a stupid way, but I just wondering, I want to know. And she goes, and I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm nice." But that was the one thing I remember. And then the other thing I remember was, do you remember there was he had a dinner that night. He had something he had to go to that night. And there was like a PR person with him who kept on going, "We got to go. She was pushing and pushing." And there was a point where, and I remember very specifically, we were in his closet. And the reason I remember that was because one of his shoes was there. And I put my arm next to his shoe because I thought I'll show my wife how big it was. Right. And it was the entire size of my arm, which blew my mind. Yeah. But so I did that thing where I let him, leave the frame, and I put the Steadicam down, and everybody said, "Okay, cut. We'll wait for a minute. I'm taking a drink." And she came up to me and she goes, "You got to pick that thing back up, and go. We got to go." And he came over next to me. He's taller. I'm 6'4", but he's taller than I am. And he put his hand on my back, which is larger than my body.
Right.
He's huge. And he looked at her and he said, "Do you see how hard this man is working?
Yeah.
When he is ready, we will go. And if I am late, that is not his problem."
There you go.
And she kind of huffed and walked away. And I turned to him and I said, "Thank you. I really appreciate it." He said, "I've been watching you. You're huffling around. You got to take a break. I get it." And then the funny thing was, and I'm sure you were there for this, remember this, when we were done and there was this whole thing, you got to get him out of it. He fired up the barbecue and cooked food for her.
He brought his personal chef in and cooked all that stuff for us. Yeah.
He was such a wonderful guy.
He was delightful because I remember when he found out that I was from New Orleans, because he went to LSU and he lived in the suburbs of New Orleans for a short time, and he was, I lived in an apartment on Williams. I remember he did a fist bump with me, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's going to break my hand," And no, he was delightful. He was great.
That was great. Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, and then what was the other one?
Russell Simmons up in Saddle River, New Jersey, across from
Russell Simmons, who kind of blew me away that he had all that amazing art in his house. Remember that?
God. Well, do you remember he and his wife were fighting the entire time we were there?
I do remember that. I'm not going to say anything about his wife. She was interesting, but he blew me away because usually people are walking around and going, here's my crystal and my this and my
Right.
that and my
Yeah.
other. And he was talking about the art and
Yes.
the influences. And I mean, he was clearly a serious collector. Had some
Yeah.
really interesting. Yeah, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Those
Wow.
there
Those
you
were the
go.
two that we did together. Yeah.
I
Because
forgot about that.
the houses were, because usually Cribs was one Steadicam, one handheld, and that was
Handheld.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so those were the houses were so big that they had two crews.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. Those were
Yeah.
fun times actually.
They
That
were.
Shaq thing holds sort of a special because it was a lot of fun. I'm not even a basketball guy, but he was
Yeah, me
he
either.
was pretty cool.
Well, I remember I had to do the B-roll, and I had to walk around his house and do like a
Yeah.
circular thing of his house, and because his house was 450 feet long.
Oh God, it was huge.
So
Yeah.
it took me 22 minutes to walk around the house. So I had a 22-minute shot that they sped up at 30 times. So in the
for
show, if
God's
you watch
sakes.
it, it goes zzz, and it's done. It's
Right.
that took me 22 minutes to do that.
Oh my gosh. Well, whatever. It is what it is. It's all the pieces. But
Yeah.
those were actually a lot of fun. I had a good time. I did a bunch of those Cribs things.
Yeah,
and,
I did like 30. I did the very first one.
Oh, did you? I didn't know you were part of that. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
I did
So there you go.
and in fact, when they were shooting, they were going to do some in LA, and they said, "Well, we don't want to fly you out to LA. Do you know anybody?" And that's what I got Rich Davis to do it.
That's right, because Rich Davis used to do it, and then he got a show, and he gave him my name. That's
Yeah.
how I got into that.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Small world. That was a long time ago. I'll tell you, the one that still strikes me more than anything is we did in Santa Monica. We went to the house of Landon Donovan, who was
wow.
a soccer player for the Galaxy. I
Oh,
think he
yeah.
was a kid, and he was some phenom. Or I had no idea who he was. Super nice guy. And it was just this actually was one of the few houses that we went to where I was like, oh, this is actually like a house I would like to live in.
Yeah,
like most
right.
of them
Yeah.
were just, I remember all of them was like, you'd take that tour beforehand. Like, well, you can't go in here because the sink is leaking and the floor is broken there. I mean, they're just garbage houses. But,
Right.
but yeah, that was this really nice old house. But the main thing that I remember, it just blew me away was his fiance was there and he introduced us and she was lovely.
Yeah.
And we were going through the house and we went into the bathroom. And I was, doing the bathroom thing with him, and we went through the rest of the house. And afterwards, I think afterwards he said, "You want me guys to get you some lunch or something or whatever." But so he was hanging out because he didn't have anywhere to go. And I said to him, "Hey, there was one thing in the bathroom you didn't talk about. Could I ask you about it?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." So we walk into the bathroom, and I point, and there's a handwritten sticky note that's taped on sort of permanently, and it says, "Every time you go out on the field, remember the little boy who loves to play the game."
Huh.
And I said, I so wanted you to talk about that. And he goes, "Yeah, I didn't think I should." And I said, what is that? And he said, well, before my first professional Galaxy game, my girlfriend, who's now his fiance, wrote that and put it in, like his bag or something. I don't know what it was or whatever.
Oh.
And he said, and I got it before the game, and I took it out, and I look at that before every game, and I thought that is so cool, right?
Oh, that's a great story.
Isn't that great? And
Yeah.
it was so funny because to me, like, that was the most interesting thing in the house.
Definitely.
But of course, the Cribs community isn't interested in that. But I've actually gone there a couple of times when I've had those days where it's just like, oh God, I hate, like, why are we doing this? And this is so much harder. And then you sort of go, remember when this, like, you would have killed just to be here, So
Yes.
sometimes I think I always wish I had taken a picture of it because I didn't, but whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's one,
was. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
there
really
were a
funny.
few.
That takes me back. The Cribs thing. I didn't realize we had that connection.
I did a lot of sort of East Coast ones.
That's
Miami,
probably what it was.
Atlanta.
I think I was doing like Denver
Right.
West, and you were doing East Coast.
I did do one in LA. I did Pamela Anderson's house in Malibu.
Okay.
Malibu Colony
Yeah.
Road. That's the only one I did in LA. I think
Yeah,
Rich and
well,
neither one of you were available.
Yeah, weren't available, and they filled you in. Well, those were actually fun times. They were kind of crazy. It was a little stupid, but they were fun. And
Yeah.
they didn't expect much. You just sort of had to. It was also because it was such a marathon. It was a little bit like working out at the gym in a way.
Yes,
in
definitely. Well,
between
they would
jobs,
say,
right?
"Oh, hey, did you get shots of it?" Yeah, I already did that. Let's go get it again.
Yeah.
I already got
Go
that.
get the fridge and go get the. Yeah,
I did.
I fully
I did it
remember
already.
that.
Well, no,
Yeah,
go get it.
yeah.
It's like,
Oh man, those were days. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, good times, good times.
Yeah. Well, listen, Jerry, this has really been such a blast, and I
Yeah.
mean, at the end there, walking down memory road with you, you've had a great career and so many interesting stories, especially not the least of which is that World War II thing that just still
Yeah.
blows me
Again,
away.
that's the stuff that in many ways I'm most proud of. But
Should be, of
yeah,
course, it's real, right?
yeah.
And also just not the hair raising part of it. It's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, the best part of this whole business is the people that I've met.
100%. I think
Mainly
you're
crew,
absolutely right.
some cast, but mainly crew.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
it's
It
been
is. It's what makes you want to keep going back.
exactly. Yeah,
There's
keeps you
no
young
question.
too. So that's great. No, well, hey,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody with, and I'll let you take us out with that.
Okay.
Advice for someone getting into the business today on how to succeed, and or something you wish you knew when you started out that you had to learn. Well, the hard way, the easy way, whatever. But you wish you knew.
Wow. Advice for someone just getting into the business now: really do your research. Ask the people who are doing it. Find people who can be mentors, and listen to them. Don't think as much as we all have gone through this. Don't be a know-it-all. Listen to the people who can help you, and actually heed a lot of their advice. And know that people are going to give you. If you talk to 10 different people, you're going to get 10 different pieces of advice. You have to call them and sort of vet that to make it work for you. But to me, the biggest thing is listen to those people who know what they're doing, who have been through the good and the bad times, and take what you can from that.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening and have a great day.